going live. All right, welcome back. We are Advanced OOP, that's COMP1011 in the summer 2022 semester at Georgian College. It's been a while since I've taught at Georgian College. I've been moving around a little bit here and there, but I'm back for this semester, and I wanted to welcome you to the course. We're also using a tool that I normally don't use, which is WebEx. I usually use Zoom, but that's okay because one tool, conferencing tool, is like another when it comes to teaching. They're not quite made for teaching, but it's kind of fun to use anyway. So this is me. My name is Tom, and I'll be teaching COMP1011 to you this semester. I've been teaching adults since 2011. I actually started at Georgian way back in 2011 teaching. Before that, I was in the software engineering industry. I was kind of a developer as well as a director at Bell Canada. And right now, my focus has been more on video game development, believe it or not, as well as VR. And I also am an avid Dungeons and Dragons player, no joke, for many, many years in Warhammer 40K. So that's my a little bit about me. I'm also currently doing my master's in VR, security, interactions, and password memorability. So that's what I'm doing right now. Awesome. So that's me. And thank you for that, Guillermo. So the textbook we're going to be using for this course, what is this course about? This course is Advanced OOP, but the textbook we're going to be using is this one from the one that you kind of apparently should already have been using or have access to, which is the one from Deedle and Deedle, Java How to Program 11th edition. Thank you, Aditya. And this is our structure for this week. So I'm going to talk about a few recommendations about what I recommend you do for this course. I'm going to talk about the syllabus and the course outline, as well as, hey, access the course Discord server. That might be a good thing to do in this course, because that's one of the ways I will connect with you. I'm just going to put you guys, my little bot isn't quite working properly on Discord. It should be putting you into a student role, but it's okay. I'm going to put you there myself. And I see some of you have already joined Discord. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to be talking about the Discord server, lab reports, in-class exercises, and assignment videos. We're going to do a tool setup today. Again, if you already have Intellij Idea, awesome. That's great. We're just going to go through it again, make sure that you have everything ready to go. You will need Scene Builder, Git for Windows, MySQL Local Server, and Star UML for this course, at least for the beginning. And what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to build some class diagrams with Star UML, as well as converting our class diagram into some code that we can use. And we're going to complete in-class exercise 1, which is going to be worth 3% of your final grade today, right? So that I'll talk about all of that and more as we go forward. And please don't hesitate to ask questions or to interrupt me. I'm okay with that. A couple ways you can watch this course, like I said, is directly through WebEx, or you can watch it online on YouTube. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about right now. So typically what we'll do is we'll meet on Thursdays between 6 and 9 p.m. We'll use WebEx. Obviously, you found this the link because you guys are all here. We'll follow a lecture lab format, so that I'm going to talk a little bit on the PowerPoint. Maybe I'll have some kind of theory or something I want you to focus on, and then we'll get right into coding, because I think coding is kind of a great way of learning how to do stuff, coding live. Again, what I'm doing is I'm recording our sessions live on YouTube, so if you miss something, if I go too fast, or if you need closed captioning support or anything like that, let's say you even miss a class, you can always go to YouTube and kind of catch everything that I've kind of recorded live there, as well as questions and all that stuff. And our in-class exercises, the stuff that we're going to be doing, almost like a little short tests that we're doing, a practical test every single week that we're going to get together to do, starting today, are all due on Saturday. So every time we get together, your in-class exercise is going to be due on Saturday at midnight. No extensions. This is kind of like if we were together live on Thursday night at Georgian College in Barrie, then you'd be asked to do it like in class right there and submit it. But of course we're not. We're online, and to give you a little bit more leeway, you have today, tomorrow, and then Saturday all day until midnight to submit it. So that is kind of your extension, if you will. All right, so you have a few days to get it done. We'll talk more about in-class exercise in a second. Let's go to the evaluation scheme for this course. So this course is broken down into only 40% assignments. So the rest is all tests and in-class exercises and live quizzes and those kind of things. So typically what I'll do is for in-class exercises and or quizzes, I will rank you at the best 10 out of 12, for the ones that you complete. So for example, if I have 12 in-class exercises planned, which I do, then I'll only take the best 10. So if you miss one, or if you don't do well on one or something like that, or two, you're still going to be okay. You're still going to get 100%. So if anyone is scheduled to be even here today and they're not here and they miss it, again, good reason for there's no extensions, because if you miss one, it's okay. You're still going to get potentially 100% for your in-class exercise mark if you complete 10 out of 12. That's how it goes. Each in-class exercise will be worth 3% of your final grade. So they're nothing to laugh at. They're real. They will impact your final grade if you don't do them. So I highly recommend you attend class and do them. They're very straightforward. Typically, we sit down together and I code with you live. I ask you to do something, and there's usually a lab report that follows them that basically tells you exactly what to do. Okay, so that is the in-class exercises. Again, weighing 30% of your final grade, and they are due weekly, every single week, and I'll show you that in a second. You'll have 4 assignments for this course. However, please don't panic for the 4 assignments. It's not really 4 assignments. It's really 2 big assignments, and I'm just going to use the annotator here if I can. Again, a little bit different than what I use with Zoom. I wonder if the pen is a little bit better. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so pretty much what it is this part right here, assignment 1 and 2, these 2 parts, they are really one big assignment. What I normally do with the assignments in general is I break them out into 2 parts typically, and this is what I do with any kind of user interface. The first part, which is usually part 1, assignment part 1, is the user interface. You'll be building some kind of user interface for the application that I'm going to get you to build. And that includes assignment 1 and assignment 3. So those 2 things are the user interface portion of the app that you're building, okay, as an example. And then the second part of your assignment, so part 2, typically, which would be assignment 2. Let's see if I can do this in this crazy app. Assignment 2, no, I cannot. Let's try it again. Assignment 2, which is this one here, and assignment 4. Wow, this is so clunky. These 2 ones, this is actually the meat and bones of your assignment. Usually there's functionality in assignment 2 and 4. Assignment 1 and 3 really is planning, UML diagrams, documentation, all those kind of things to get you ready. And I've broken it down like this. There'll be pretty much the same assignments that the other classes will have if there's other sections, but I'm just breaking it down into 2 parts instead of just 1 part. So they're both worth 20%. If you think about it, assignment 1 and 2 is it's like assignment 1 part 1 and assignment 1 part 2, but they're one big assignment, okay? And I've spread it out so that it's not so much painful compared to having it all done at once. All right, so that's how we're going to do the assignments. You're also going to have 2 tests. There's a midterm test, which is practical, worth 15% of your final grade, as well as your final exam, which is also worth 15% of your final grade. Both of those 2 things are practical. They're running in week 7 and 14. And typically how I like to do them, I don't like to make timed exercises too much. I don't believe in those. I think that especially online, when we're learning online, and now we've experienced online learning for the last couple of years. I think it's best to give you guys as much leeway as possible. And what I'm going to be doing with this is giving you the opportunity to complete your midterm test and final exam throughout the entire week. It's almost like a week-long assignment. You'll be giving the instructions at the beginning of the week, and then you'll have until the end of the week to complete it and submit it. Okay, that's how it's going to work. Okay, so not as much pressure. I want to take away the pressure from you guys to get this done. It's still going to be practical. So one thing you're going to notice with my course is there are no true false multiple choice type tests. That doesn't exist. They don't exist with my course at all. Everything is practical. Practical little tests every week and a practical midterm and final exam. So everything is coding, coding, and more coding. Questions around the course evaluations at all before you continue? And I see that more people have joined us on Discord. Thank you for that. I'm just going to change your roles accordingly. I'm not sure why our little bot isn't doing that, but it should change your role to where you're supposed to be, which is really weird. Okay, so there we go. So I think most of you guys, yep, are either online or working with Discord. Excellent, thank you. All right, so any questions again before we continue with this one? Course evaluations. This is really where we're getting how I'm going to evaluate you. All right, so again, most of it, 60% are live exercises, little tests that I'm going to get you to do. I do some of it. I do one part, and you do the next part. That's how it works. Okay. All right, that's one part, and let's talk about our schedule a little bit. So this is right from the syllabus. That is also live on Blackboard right now. So again, this week, the week of May 9th, we're going to do, again, a bit of a course overview, what this course is about. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and add people to Discord at the same time. I'm talking about this stuff at the same time. Do we have 3 days to complete the? Yes, you do. Yeah. So you have, you have from tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. That's what you have to get it done. So you have, even though it's called in-class exercise, you have those 3 days to get it done. You can submit multiple times. All right, so yeah, so this week we're doing a course overview, tool setup, Intellij Idea, Scene Builder, Git for Windows, and so on. And next week we're going to review Java FX UI. You guys have done some of that before. We're going to be talking about implementing MVC pattern in Java, how to do that, model view controller. We're also going to be talking about exceptions again, and a very simple design pattern called the singleton design pattern that we're going to be introducing next week, week 2. You're also going to get details or steering directions for assignment 1. So assignment 1, you'll get the details for assignment 1, which is the user interface portion of your assignment. And assignment 1, again, will be due week 4, next week. Okay. When we hit week 3, so again, multitasking, forgive me, I'm trying to do multiple things at once, and I'm not good at it. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, we'll talk about JUnit testing. That's weird that it's lowercase u. Accessing databases with JDBC, because we're going to start getting into databases pretty much right away, and some simple Lambda expressions that we're going to get into by week 3. We're going to also talk about in week 4 strings, again, review strings and characters and regular expressions. You guys should know some of this stuff already from other courses you've taken. Files and input and output streams by week 5 with generic collections and data structures that we're going to be talking about there. And in week 6, we'll talk about more generic collections, more different kinds of collections, more data structures, functional interfaces, lambdas, and streams. We'll also be talking about the debugger and IntelliJ. We might hit it a little earlier than week 6. We'll talk about it as we get there. And then in week 7, there is no official lecture. So the way we're going to handle our midterm test or mid-semester test is we're not going to have a lecture during this time frame. Instead of, we're still going to meet, still going to be available during this time frame from 6 to 9 p.m. on week 7. So that's the week of June 20th. But instead of actually doing a lecture, I'll be here to take questions, go over the details of your midterm test to make sure that you have all the requirements answered. Anything related to the test. If you don't have any questions, you don't have to attend that day. I will most likely be recording the details of the midterm test either earlier in that week or during that day. So I'll be talking about the details, but again, you'd have access to the midterm test as early as the Monday, and it'll be due by the end of the week. Okay, probably Saturday again. That's typically how I would do it. Then we have a week off for our mid-semester break, which happens on the week of June 27th, all the way to Canada Day weekend, that's really cool that we have that week off, so we can do a little bit of resting. Well, hopefully you can. And then we're right into week 8, where we're going to do generic classes and methods, more generic data structures, so almost like templating, like we do in C++. We'll do the same kind of idea here in Java. And then we'll talk about JSON serializing, deserializing objects for a couple of weeks, because we're going to be working with APIs for week 9 and week 10. And then in week 11, we'll be talking about threads and concurrency. And I'll ask you to download and install Android Studio, because in week 12 and 13, we'll be talking a little bit about an intro to Android mobile development. And so we'll do a couple of those things in week 12 and 13. And then finally, we'll finish off with our final exam in week 14. So again, for me, it's an exciting semester. I think there's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover in this semester. Notice what I've done is, for the course outline, that I've also told you where the marks are coming from. Typically what I do is, when I assign an assignment, for example, in week 2, next week, when I give you the assignment 1, and you'll have a couple of weeks to get that done. Again, it's individual. You'll be doing it on your own. And then what's going to happen is, instead of it being due on the Saturday, like your in-class exercise, it'll be due on the Sunday. Okay, so you'll have the extra day just to kind of firm things up and submit everything that you need to do for assignment 1. All right, any questions around or concerns around the schedule? So that's a schedule, how we're going to do things in terms of the way we're doing them. Any questions at all? If you do have a question, again, you could, there's lots of ways you could do that. You could put it in the chat. Okay, Nitin says no. Yeah, I think so. I think, Guillermo, what I'm probably going to do is give you the whole week, because I think it's fair to give you the entire week to do it. And instead of making it the Friday, I might make it either the Saturday or the Sunday. All right, so again, you'll have at least 5 days to get it done, right? Because it'll be something that's meaty enough that will require most of the week for you to have it done. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you is this, though. Even though I've given you the whole week to get the midterm and final exam done, I'm not going to make it so that it's, crazy long. Okay, I'm going to try and time the exam so that you can do it in a 3-hour period. So why am I doing it this way? Why don't I just test you for 3 hours, on the Thursday? I just find there's a lot of pressure for students when we're learning remotely. And I think it's better if I give you more time. Sometimes more time is bad, because if you have more time, you put everything off until the last minute. Some of you will do that. Hopefully you won't do that. Hopefully you'll use your time so you can ask questions and, look things up. In terms of academic integrity and honesty, we're going to talk about how to deal with that and what tools I use to help us out with that. But thank you for those questions. So let's talk about how we're going to communicate. One of the ways we're going to be communicating, like you guys already know, is the Discord server. So I've asked you to join Discord. I have a very simple server. Most of you have joined here, and I see that there are quite a few of you that are already online. I'm going to just change your role to a student, and when I do so, it'll show up there. There's also other professors that may join us here as well. So I know that Rich has already joined us today, so I'm not sure if you know Rich very well. Jarrett may end up joining our server as well. What I'm trying to do is make a community server for Georgian College for the computer studies program. So that's what I'm trying to put together. You guys are the first to join for this semester. And of course I use Discord because I'm a gamer. I play games a lot. I work with other colleges as well. And in those places, Discord is a very common tool set for people to communicate with students specifically. So I want to communicate with you, and that's why we're using Discord. So thank you for joining me on that. Let's talk about some availability, right? So Discord is definitely a way you guys can connect with me, absolutely. But what I'd like you guys to do is to think about when we're together, that I will be available for you between 9 a.m. and pretty much 9 p.m. most days. So Monday through Friday, as an example. Do you play any FPS? Yeah, I like FPS games. Lately, I've been playing actually this small game called Core Keeper, which is pretty cool on Steam, right? So it's a game that's made with Unity, very small team of people, and they sold over 1 million copies. So that's pretty cool. I also played Elden Ring and a bunch of all the AAA games that we normally play lately. I try and keep up with it because one of the things I like to do is develop games with Unity and those kind of things. So I'm a C# developer, I'm a C++ developer, I'm a Java developer, I'm a JavaScript developer. So I kind of speak many languages when it comes to programming. So again, bear with me. We should have quite a lot of fun. I'm just going to make sure that everyone else here is directed properly as a student on the server. There we go. All right, so you guys should be popping up in the server. So why the server? Why am I getting you guys to do this? I'm sure you have your own server that you use as students. Because what I'd like you to do when you join with me on the server is a couple things. One is we can communicate together specifically for this course. That's number one. Second reason is you have access to discussing things with me, Q&A, resources we're going to share. I'm also going to share simple announcements and even the recorded videos as a backup. I will store them on the Discord server. And the reason for this is that way if Blackboard somehow is down, like, look, today you guys didn't have access, or anything else like that happens, you'll still have access to the course materials and all that kind of stuff. And also long term, I think, again, what I'd like to try and do is create a community, the Georgian community, to get together and communicate and help each other out so we can be successful as developers. That's really the kind of the why of Discord. Discord is also the Wild West, which means people act really weird on Discord. They say the wrong things and whatever. There is a code of conduct that I'd like you to follow, and I'm going to show you that right now. I know some of you have joined Discord, but this is really my code of conduct. You guys should be able to see this now on Discord. And please adhere to this. So please make sure your nickname is your first name and last name for identification purposes. It should be the same name as as how you appear on Georgian College for all Georgian College communications. Okay, so don't have a funky name. So this is where there's a bit more structure, I would say, to this server. So it's not the Wild West. Keep your roles updated to accurately reflect your role in relation to the course. Right now, there's only one role, student. We may have other roles later on. Try to remain on topic in each channel of the server as much as possible. Don't harass your fellow server members. Insults of any type are not tolerated. You'll be banned from the server, and that would be bad for you. Any posts with excessive, any kind of weird pornography or gore or anything like that, please don't post those things. Again, it'll get you banned. Avoid mentioning, entire roles or faculty members unnecessarily. So if there's another faculty member here, let's say, for example, Rich or Jarrett or someone else, don't do an at mention unless there's a reason for it. If you want to get our attention, just put it in the discussion. That's pretty much good enough. Breaching any of these rules can get you banned. And that would be very, very bad. We don't want that to happen because the idea is that we're communicating together and we're trying to be respectfully doing that. Okay, so there you go on that one. All right, any questions on the Discord server, how we're going to use it? I think it's a good thing. It'll extend the hours that we can communicate together, and that's when you want to meet with me. Again, one of the ways we can do that is you can make an appointment, or if you see me live and we're not in class, and if you don't see me busy, you can certainly shoot me a DM. Even if you see me busy, shoot me a DM, I'll see it, and then I'll come over and I'll respond when I can. Typically when I connect with you, if you send me an email, it's 1 to 2 business days, okay? But if you connect with me on Discord, the advantage is I might respond immediately, which is pretty cool. And we might be able to get together and do some troubleshooting together if you have a problem with your application that you're running or something else like that, any kind of setup that you have a problem with or whatever. Please don't hesitate to connect with me on Discord. I want to try and help out as much as I can, within reason. On Saturdays and Sundays, you're not going to find me on Discord. Okay, just letting you know. And late Friday afternoon, probably even before 9 o'clock, way before 9, probably not going to be available. On holidays, definitely not available. But on a regular day, I think for the most times we're good to go. One thing that I'm going to ask you not to do when we communicate together is please do not ask me for an extension. First of all, if there is, unless you have a medical reason to do so, or if there's some other really valid reason, to ask me for an extension, don't do it, and especially not before the time it's due. So example, you have your first assignment and it's due on, the Sunday or whatever, right? And then on Sunday afternoon, you send me furious, kind of like really urgent kind of pings and emails and everything else that you need an extension for your assignment. Guys, that's the wrong time to send me an email. First of all, it's one business day. I probably won't respond to the next day. And then right before the due date, that's not a good time to try and get access, get a hold of me. I'm probably going to get like a pile of messages from you guys a lot of times, and typically I don't respond to those. Not because I don't want to, but because it's the wrong time. If you want an extension, we can talk about it as a class on Thursday and say, hey, you guys are really busy, you need an extra day, something's not right, I didn't explain something right, you don't understand something. Those are good reasons for an extension. But just ask an extension because of other reasons, not a good reason. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there to you so you understand how we're going to handle things together. That's the Discord server. Again, any questions around the Discord server, how we're going to use it, and why? I know I'm going slow, but I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Next, lab reports. This is super important. Okay, so what we're doing with lab reports this semester is that this is kind of one of the tools, or if you will, that we're going to use for academic integrity purposes. Okay, so every time you do an in-class exercise or assignment, you'll have a lab report to complete. Okay, lab report will match the rubric for the assignment or in-class exercise. And what you're going to do is you're going to select a level of completeness for each criterion that's in the lab report. You will display your lab report during your video. So there's a video too for each thing that you're going to submit. A completed lab report is mandatory, and your in-class exercises and assignments will not be accepted without it. That means you're going to get a 0 on those things unless you submit your lab report. Let me show you what a lab report will look like. So we already have a lab report that I've submitted online for you. For the first in-class exercise, there is the lab report that is up there. Let's kind of do that together. I'm just going to bring it up. And the lab report will look typically like this. Okay, so this is what a lab report will look like. It'll have the name lab report, the course, right? The semester. You put your first name, last name, and your student ID in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to highlight kind of a level of completeness. For example, one of the first things for today's lab report is version control. I want you to create a private, appropriately named GitHub repo with multiple commits that's worth 0.5% of your final grade. So that's how it's going to work. And what you would do is you go up here and you would just basically highlight this and say, yes, I got this part done, right? And what you would do is you would show your lab report during your little video that you're going to make for me for your in-class exercise. Now, don't panic. Videos are not too crazy. This is what the lab report will look like. It looks like a little rubric where you have 4 levels of achievement for each feature that I've asked you to create. One of them would be how complete it is. If it's 100% complete, you get 100%. If it's somewhat complete but needs some tweaking, it's 75%. If it's complete to some degree but has some kind of errors or throws errors or creates a problem with the application, it's 50%. And if it's incomplete completely, like you haven't done it at all or haven't attempted it, it's 0 for each feature. That's how it works. So 4 levels of completion, very straightforward as a rubric. And at the end, what you would do is you could add it all up to see that you would get 3% of your final grade at the end. So that's what you would do. Go through the lab report like a checklist. You would show your lab report live in your demo video, which you're going to do, again, 1 to 2 minutes, very simple demo video that you're going to make. And let's talk about that demo video next. What does that demo video look like? So again, there are demo videos is the second part of your academic integrity check, which is what you're going to be doing is you're going to make little videos. You'll be required to make these videos for both in-class exercises and assignments. You can use your favorite screen capture and streaming tool. I recommend OBS. Let me show you that tool now. So you should know this already, but just in case you don't, let's do it. So if I type in OBS Studio, then I recommend, this is probably one of the simplest tools to take advantage of. I'm going to kind of copy this and put it in the chat for everybody here. There's your OBS, right? So please check that out if you haven't had a chance to do that yet. What OBS does, and this is what I'm using right now for YouTube, is it allows you to put together a very simple video for yourself and submit it. What I'd like you to do when you create your video, there's ways of you connecting live on YouTube, and it's a one and done, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. So right now what I'm doing is not only am I broadcasting live on WebEx, but I'm also broadcasting live on YouTube. And as I'm recording live on YouTube, it's actually recording the video, right? So then I'm done, right? I don't have to do that. I don't have to do this again. One thing to note about my videos on YouTube is I'm not trying to make any money from you. There's no post-processing. I'm not going to make it professional. There's not going to be lower thirds. I don't expect those things from you too. I don't expect you to make a professional video for me every single time you do it for your in-class exercise or assignment. I only expect you to do a couple things, right? One is I recommend you stream it on some kind of service like YouTube or another streaming service, even Twitch or Vimeo or somewhere else that you can stream live from your OBS tool. I recommend that. Or you can download it, you can save it on your machine and then upload it afterwards. It's totally up to you. I do not want a video file. Please do not submit a video file like an MP4 or something else like that. If you do, you will have an incomplete submission and I would not accept it. Why? Because guys, imagine if you have a 2-minute video that's 100 megabytes or something crazy like that, which I've gotten in the past. Because some people have large screens or the quality that you've recorded or whatever, and I cannot download 100 megabytes for every one of you. It just takes too much time. So please don't do that. What I'd ask you to do is just live stream on YouTube, give me a link, and we're good to go. Something that's clickable. You can even put it up on Google Drive. As long as I can click it and run it, I'm good. Please do not submit a video file on Blackboard. A couple things to note is sound quality must be good. Okay, so I must be able to hear you clearly. So when you make your video, check it. Make sure that I can hear. If you can't hear yourself, I definitely can't hear you. So make sure it's good. If there's no sound in your video, it's not a good video. I will resubmit it to you and say, the video is no good. I can't accept it, kind of thing. Video quality must also be good. I must be able to see your screen that's not hazy. So if it's a hazy screen that I can't see, I can't hear you, it's not really a great video. It's not really a video at all. So please make sure I can hear you clearly and I can see your screen clearly. If I can do those two things, it's a good video. And it has to also, you have to please submit a working video link. Some people make a great video, but it's private, or I don't have access to it somehow. Again, if I don't have access to it, it's not a good video. So those three things, those three components must be there. Guys, I know that this is very common knowledge. I'm not going to suggest to you that by any means, this is something that you don't know how to do or that you haven't done videos before. I'm sure you have. But I'm putting it out there so that everyone's on the same page, so that no one gets into, no one gets upset or anything like that when we're talking about this stuff. So again, video submissions, just like your lab reports, are mandatory, and your in-class exercise and assignments will not be accepted without it. Okay, so you need to have a video. Let's just do a little bit more details about your in-class exercise videos. So for in-class exercise, I don't need a lot of detail here, guys. It's like really, really quick hit, 1 to 2 minutes, like very little detail. I don't need you to go through all the detail for your code. Please do not take more than a couple of minutes. You make your video. Hi, my name is. Here's the thing that you asked for, Tom. Here's my lab report. Bye-bye. Seriously, that's all I'm looking for. It's worth 3% of your final grade, so make sure it works, but I don't need it to be very long. 1 to 2 minute max is where I want you to target. Anything longer than that, you've talked too much. All right, I don't need you to talk so much. Show me your code. Show me that it's working. Show me the stuff that I've asked you to do, and you're good to go. Okay? Please also make sure you display your lab report. So the thing I showed you, that is your checklist. Show me your checklist that's in the video. This is important criteria, right? Demonstrate your lab report criteria. Demonstrate each of the things that I've asked you to do. If you say that you've done perfect in all those things, demonstrate them, right? But please, again, do not read your code line by line. This is useless for me and for you, okay? And then, of course, make sure you submit a working video link, and it should, please do not upload a file. I'm going to say this a couple times. And please do not embed the link. Here's another thing that people do. They embed the link inside of a zip archive. again, useless for me, right? Because then I have to download the whole zip archive. If you've uploaded a zip archive of your in-class exercise and it's something like, I don't know, 50 megabytes, that's 50 megabytes for each of you that I have to download for no reason. Just please, a video link is all I'm looking for, okay? And that's for your video demonstration for your in-class exercise. That's the thing that we're doing weekly, okay? Next is, how about demonstration videos for assignments? Now, this is a little bit more involved because your assignment is worth 20% of your final grade, 10% for each part, 10% for the first half, and 10% for the second half. Nope, I just need your GitHub link, typically Nitin, and your video. That's all I really need. Because your GitHub link, if everything is formed properly, is good to go. And if you look up online on Blackboard, you'll see that the requirements for you is not a zip archive. It's just a GitHub link, a working GitHub link, and a video. If your GitHub link and your video don't work, it's going to be 0. So please try and make sure that everything is working. All right. So for your assignments, this is interesting. I need a short PowerPoint document. It's not even really a PowerPoint document. It's almost like a title card more than anything else. That's what I want. And it's the first and only slide of your slide deck. I call it a slide deck. It's a PowerPoint or Google Slides document. It's one slide, and it needs to have, you need to have a current image of you. So again, I don't need a student card or something like that. You can just, as long as it looks like you, it's you, right? No avatars allowed. So you can't use anime characters or your favorite role-playing character or anything else. It's got to be you, right? And it's got to be a recent image of you, not from when you were like a baby, or not a projected image of what you're going to look like in the future. It's got to be you today, all right? That kind of thing, or well, this semester anyway. And it's appropriately sized on the page. You must include also your full name, student ID, and course code, course name, and your assignment information. What is this assignment about? Okay, so for each assignment, so one slide deck, one page of your slide deck. And if you are doing a group assignment, and again, I don't believe we're going to have group assignments this semester. I think everything is going to be individual. If you had a group assignment, each group member would be required to, and this is for each of you then, demonstrate your application's functionality, evaluate your application's performance against your lab report. So take a look at does it meet all the features of your lab report, whatever I asked you to do. Explain your application's code when asked to do so. If I asked you to explain your code in the document, then do it. Otherwise, don't. Please do not read line by line. Maybe I need you to explain, as an example, a particular piece of code, how you did it. That's okay. But beyond that, I don't need you to read your code. All right. And then your assignment video should run no more than 5 to 6 minutes max. So obviously this is a longer video because you have more to talk about, right? It's not like your in-class exercise. In-class exercise is a quick hit. You're going to show me your stuff and then see you later. All right. This is a little bit more involved. Again, for the submission requirements are the same. Okay. Any questions around assignment and in-class exercise videos? Any concerns around them? I don't want this to be oppressive. It's just, this is a way of we can have, so we don't have to have true, false, multiple choice type tests. This way, I don't need you to have a timed exercise where I have to watch you or anything like that. It's all about you kind of using almost like an oral way of, or kind of a verbal way of communicating your knowledge of the stuff that I've asked you to present in a very straightforward, quick hit fashion. Okay, very, very quick. That's the idea behind it. So again, questions or concerns before we move on, because I don't want this again to be too prolonged. All right.
It's a more quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it says do not read a code line by line. Do we not have to explain the logic in the code?
It depends on the code. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a good question. It's like, sometimes people will read a piece of code and they'll go and say, well, this is the vector class, like we're going to talk about today. And you can see here, this is my class, and here's my constructor. And then here, and I don't need that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But if you say, okay, here is the distance function that you've asked me to do, Tom. Here it is right here. And you can see this is correctly formed. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the demo. That's how fast I want you to go, right? Because remember, I can always back up the video and then I can look at the function to see if it's okay. I can always look on your GitHub repository too and see how that looks, right? So Between the two things, I should be pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you. No problem.
Thanks.
Okay, Dia. So OBS. OBS is a great little tool that I recommend. And OBS you can download for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It's just a tool to record your screen recording tool, but you can use any screen recording tool you like. The great thing about OBS is you can stream directly to YouTube if you want. And so it kind of is a one and done process. That's why I use it. I use it because I don't have to do it. I don't have to, kind of save my video. Notice that what you can do is you can start streaming. That's one option. And the other one is start recording. That's another option. So you could record on your computer, and then after your recording's done, you could upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or Twitch or whatever service you want. That's a way of doing it. Or you could connect your stream directly to YouTube or whatever, create a channel for yourself, make it unlisted. If you're concerned about privacy, make it unlisted. And the only people that have access to the video is me or anyone else you shared the link with. That's okay, right? But please do not make your video private, okay? If you're going to make it on a service, it should be at the most unlisted. Does that make sense for you, Dia? So just a tool that I recommend, but you can use any tool you want. All right, so that is videos. We've talked about that kind of stuff. Again, they're just to keep you honest. They're not there to oppress you. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, Tom is asking us to make crazy amount of documentation of videos for my course. It's so terrible. It's not so terrible. I'm going to give you most of the documentation already. Notice the lab report was done. It was filled out. It's literally just a rubric like we said before. And all you need to do is check mark the stuff you've already done. Put your name in there, fill in a couple things, and you're going to use this as a checklist on your video. Hey, look, here's my video, and you can see that I've done this stuff. Done. That's really how it's supposed to be, right? It's not there to slow you down in any way. All right, so in this course, if no more questions around videos, hopefully, in this course, we're going to be using something called Intellij Idea, and hopefully you guys have had access to this. Yes? You guys have used Intellij before or no? What did you guys use before in your previous course? Yes, good, excellent. So you should all have Intellij. If you have Intellij already, that's awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. Then what you should try and do is make sure that you have the latest version. If you haven't had a chance to do so, go down to kind of your little tool set, your options menu down here, and check for updates. Make sure now that you have the latest version of Intellij, because this is the one that we're going to be using for this semester. All right, so that is your first tool set to get. Where you can get this if you don't have access to it, again, what I've done is online on Blackboard, I've got a series of links for course resources, and you can see that the first link is Intellij, which is going to take you here to the Intellij Idea page. Again, what I'd ask you to do is use your educational account that you might already have for Intellij and for JetBrains. So your JetBrains educational account, you can get that at education, I believe, JetBrains, which is this one, JetBrains Education Students, and this is your student license for JetBrains. Again, if you don't have, just put it out there for those people who don't have it for whatever reason. I don't know why, but my house is going to burn down again. They always do this when I'm teaching. Great. So again, this is where you get your JetBrains educational license. I think it's an awesome offering from JetBrains. JetBrains also has amazing tool sets for Visual Studio 2022 and 2019. If you are a C++ or C# developer, then they have an amazing tool called ReSharper C++, which is an amazing tool set. Great thing is ReSharper is kind of built into their IDEs, for example, Intellij. But ReSharper C++ and ReSharper itself are amazing tool sets to help you with code hinting and code coloring. And I think it's amazing that you would have something like this. So again, Intellij Idea, PHP Storm, WebStorm, and all those kind of things, and even Android Studio, which is Intellij makes that, JetBrains makes that as well. All of them have great code hinting and suggestions for you. And we're going to see some of those today as we review and refresh ourselves with Intellij. Okay, so that's your free educational license. Please make sure you sign up for that if you haven't done so already. So that's the first part. The second part that we're going to be using is something called Scene Builder. Again, you guys should have access to this because we're doing a refresher. But if you don't have access to it, and I'm just going to ask again, have you guys used Scene Builder in the past with JavaFX or no? You guys should have access to it, and you guys should have used it already. Yes? No? No. Okay. So this is new. Some people say yes, some people say no. Okay. If you have, that's great. If you haven't, if you don't have access to this, again, by the way, the PowerPoint is also up online, but let me go to Scene Builder. So Scene Builder, this is the link for Scene Builder. For those people who don't have it, please go ahead and download and install Scene Builder. It's a standalone application, but what you can do, I'll talk about that in a second, Guillermo. The JavaScript version is going to be, I believe, 15, Java 15. Let me just take a look. It might be more. But let's go back to that in a second. So, so Scene Builder, again, is going to be the tool we're going to start using next week, where we make interfaces for JavaFX. So please make sure you have Scene Builder installed. So that's installation step number 2. So first, again, you'd need IntelliJ, and next you'd need Scene Builder. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3. Okay, we're going to move on to the third thing we're going to need, and that is Git for Windows. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you may not have this. And here's the way to test that you have it. Please now, this is where the lecture lab part comes into play. Go to your command prompt. So go to your Windows button and type in CMD. Okay, type in CMD. And here's the test for you. Can you do git minus version? If you can do this, you're golden. If you can't do this and you get errors or you get not recognized command, you need to install Git for Windows for this course. Are you guys all good with this? How about this? Here's another question. Is anyone a Mac user for any reason? If you're a Mac user, 2.35 is fine, Guillermo, no problem. 2.36, 2.35 is good. But if there's any Mac users, you use a Mac, you have nothing to do. If you're a Mac user, then I'm just going to pull up my Mac version for a second, just to get into that one sec while I remote in to my Mac. Just a momento. And let's talk about this. If you are a Mac user, then here is an example of my remote Mac. Then again, what you'd have your terminal window here for the Mac, and you can see here that if I typed in git minus version, you're going to get something like 2.36.1 or 2.35 or something. Most of the time, you should have no problem if you are a Mac user. However, if you're a Windows user and you don't have it working, then you need to do the installation steps that I'm going to show you right now for Git for Windows. If you do have this, please bear with me as I'm going to try and show you how to do this from scratch right now. So again, what I'm going to do is go up onto that little link. This is the link, git-scm.com. 2.33 is okay. 2.3, any kind of version is good. I'm fine with any version. But for those people who don't have access to it already, here is the link for git-scm.com. Even if you have a current version that's working, and if you wanted to update to my version, 2.36.1, as an example, you can do that, and you can download it from Windows and Mac if you want to. But let's continue with this part. Let's suppose I want to download for Windows. For Windows, what you're going to get is, I'm just going to show you the download link for it. You're going to get this link that shows you Git 2.36 64-bit. I'm going to double click this and go through the installation steps with you just to make sure that you have everything that I have. Okay. So here is your Git setup. So please do that first. Download Git for Windows. And then if you're interested, if you have a problem, if you don't have a problem, you don't have to do this step. If your Git is working, leave it alone, is what I'm saying. Okay. Or if you want to upgrade, if you're interested in upgrading to the latest version of Git for Windows or Git for Mac, you can follow these steps. It's totally up to you. All right, so because I'm I already have Git installed for Windows, you can see here that it says a little checkbox that says only show new options. I'm unchecking this so I can do this with you. Okay, I'm going to click next. And notice that what you want to do is you want to add additional icons on the desktop. I recommend this, as well as Windows Explorer integration. I also recommend this. Windows Explorer and integration for Git is awesome. It allows you to do things that you normally couldn't do. Git large file support is not required for this course, so you can leave that unchecked. And also, a lot of times Git large file support, if you do have large files, for example, if you have a large image or something else like a, I don't know, 3D animation or something like that, then Git large file support costs money too, believe it or not. There is only a certain amount of space that you get on GitHub for free for large files beyond 100 megabytes. But again, we won't have that problem in this course because we're not doing any kind of games or anything like that. So you can just leave that unchecked. Associate .git configuration files with the default text editor. You can associate .sh files to be run with bash, no problem. I definitely want to check this one, which is add a git bash profile to Windows Terminal, and then click next. Now, the next one is if you have Visual Studio Code, and you may have Visual Studio Code from a previous application. However, you could use Notepad or something else. I've chosen Visual Studio Code as Git's default editor because I have Visual Studio Code installed. Visual Studio Code is not like Visual Studio. It's specifically for web development. Primarily, you can use it for other things too, but I think Visual Studio Code for now, for me, when I do JavaScript development and TypeScript, especially if I'm doing any kind of mean stack development or anything like that, is the de facto standard that I use for this. Again, it's up to you. This is an optional step. You can choose whichever editor you want. I'm choosing Visual Studio Code. Next. The next one is let Git decide. That is what I want you to do. It's actually the old branch name for Git was master. That is being phased out for a lot of different reasons. One of them is negative connotations with the word master for different people. And now the new branch name is, the default branch name is main for the most part, but I usually let Git decide that because things can continue to change and evolve for Git and GitHub. Let's continue and click next. The next one is adjusting your path environment. Git from the command line and also from third-party software is the one I've set it up. This is the default recommended option, and I'm keeping that one. I'm going to click next. The next one is use bundled OpenSSH, which is something that I'm going to be using for any kind of secure shell for Git. Click next. And the next one is choosing HTTPS transport backend. Again, OpenSSL is what I'm going to be using, the default version. Click next. I'm going to check out Windows style and commit Unix style line endings and click next. And the next option is use Windows default console window. That's the command.exe instead of min.tty. Please don't use this one. I find it's kind of weird. I think this one is a better option. Click next. And then for my default behavior for git pull, you want to use default. So fast forward or merge. Click next. And this is critical in my opinion. Git Credential Manager is going to help you identify yourself. So make sure you install Git Credential Manager. I think it's good for everybody to have. Click next. This is extra options that are optional. I always click these on, enable file system caching and enable symbolic links. I include those things. I think it makes it a little better for usability. And click next. These two, please leave unchecked because they're experimental. So experimental options for Git is unnecessary for our course, that's for sure. So keep these off and then click install. When you've clicked install, I'm not going to do that because I already have everything installed. But for you, if you click install, it's going to, if you have a previous version of Git, it will uninstall it and it'll then reinstall the newest version of Git for Windows for you. Okay, I'm just going to exit out of here. But that is your installation steps. Any questions about Git for Windows installation requirements? So why is this really great? Because, I mean, we don't really need command line, do we? But the great thing is, if you have command line, if we want to fix a problem on the back end that IntelliJ does not fix for us, right? Then we're good to go. And if you're going to do another course in the future, for example, another course with Rich or with Jarrett or somebody else, that you need to use command line git, you're good to go. You have it installed, it's working for you, and it's beautiful. All right. Now, what I'd ask you to do is if you're done, if you're ready to go, I'm going to move on. So let me know when you're ready to go. Again, for those people who need to have this installed. If you've already installed it, then you don't have to let me know that you're ready because you're already ready. Okay? So for people who haven't installed it, if you're ready, please let me know. I'm just going to wait another second or so before I continue. Okay. I think if you've got it ready, then you're ready to go. Let's continue with this and move on. So again, the test for you after you've installed it is go to your command prompt and type in git ---- version. And this will be something that looks like this, and you'll be good to go. Okay? Because Git and GitHub is a requirement of this course, it would be detrimental for you not to have access to something like this because your Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code or Intellij Idea or anything else in the future that we do together, now maybe not us, but other people, will not be working properly. Okay, so you need a backend that at least has Git for Windows. The other way, of course, the quicker way to do this would have been to download and install Windows Desktop. So if I go desktop.github.com, right, there is a UI for Git called Git Desktop, GitHub Desktop. However, I'd like to tell you that this GitHub Desktop is completely unnecessary for your IntelliJ IDEA. And as developers, I highly recommend you guys get used to using a command line because it's just overall, you have more control and it's better for you to know. All right, so that is the second or the third piece that we wanted you to do, which is your Git installation. One thing I say here is, I'm going to say that again, is make sure you have your GitHub account set up. So if you don't have GitHub right now, please sign up for GitHub right now. Okay, this is what we want to do. You need GitHub for every submission, in-class exercise, as well as your assignment. So if you don't have this done, then again, it'll impact your mark overall. So please make sure you have this, as soon as possible. One thing also I want to share with you is that we have a GitHub repository for all things we're going to do together. And I've created one for you. So that is here, Georgian College. Notice that, yes, I own all of Georgian College. That's correct. Somehow I own the entire organization. Of course, I'm lying, but one thing I've done way earlier back before people were using GitHub regularly is I created an organization, Georgian College, and this organization represents stuff that you and I are going to do, but no other people have been using this other than me for a while. So now you guys have access to it again. I will be sharing all code files, and there's some other earlier repositories that I have here from way back when, but we're going to share all my code samples here. So if you can't follow along, or if my code looks different than your code, you can always go up on github.com/Georgian College, and you can compare your code with my code in real time. Just make sure that I push. Let me know. Okay, so that is a tool that I'm lending to you. All right, so that is our GitHub organization, Georgian College. We're also going to be using there's two options, okay? So you could use MySQL local server, right? Or you can use a remote server for the course, right? And again, it's really up to you how you want to use it. To me, you're going to just demonstrate it anyway, okay? You're going to be demonstrating your access to MySQL server anyway. And we're going to be using the JDBC kind of connection for MySQL server in this course. So again, I recommend you go up online and download MySQL server, or if you have access to an online server that you can do the same thing with, it's totally up to you. I will also investigate later on this week if we can use the one from AWS that the other course is using. And if we can, I just have to get access to that, and I'll give you access to it before it's required. But however, I recommend that you download and install a local version, just so that way, even if you don't have internet access, or if you just wanted to make some quick tests locally, you can do that with your local version. Now, it's not that difficult to install. And if I was to show you Mysql Workbench, here's Mysql Workbench that I've recently installed. It looks like this. And you can see that it's running as a service. Okay, it's running as a service. And you can see that when you run Mysql Workbench, I've made a contact schema here as an example. And again, although this is not a database course, you will be required to remember some stuff that you learned about in other courses regarding databases. Okay, something like your contact schema. Inside the contact schema, we can see that I have a table called, well, contacts. And if I really want to, I can select some rows, and I've put in there some example data that we're going to use later on in this course with some superheroes that I kind of like, right, from the Marvel universe, right? So there's some stuff that I put in there. I'm going to be sharing more about this with you in the coming weeks. So again, make sure that you have some kind of tool like Mysql Workbench. There's other tools out there that also give you access to an AMP stack locally on your machine or remotely up online. You can use any service you want, but you need to demonstrate in your video sometimes that the server is working and that you have access to the database that's online. Okay, so that's something that you're going to be demonstrating in your video. So you need to have access to some kind of either local database server or remote online, whether it's on AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google platform. It's up to you. XAMPP is perfectly fine as well. It doesn't matter to me. XAMPP, AMP, LAMP, WAMP, whatever. It's totally fine. All right. So that is what I recommend. I think it's a good server to have. I think it's pretty decent, and you can connect to it pretty easily. All right, any questions? Anyone does not have access to this or has never used a local server, please let me know, because we're going to move on to the next piece you need. Again, I'm going through this very slow so that way everyone's on the same page, not because I want to waste any of your time. All right. The last thing I want you to get for today before we start doing anything is star UML. All right, so star UML is a very simple UML diagram creator. All right, so if I go up online, I've given you the link for star UML. I don't expect you to pay for anything. Okay, we're going to just use the free version, if you will. There is not really a free version, it's paid. But one thing you can do is when you launch star UML, that's the link that I've given you here on the chat. When I launched star UML from the very beginning, when we start off, you can see that there is going to be a little sign that says unregistered version. Do you want to buy now or evaluate? We're going to evaluate. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're not using it for professional purposes. We're just using it for learning. So this is perfectly fine. Okay, and this is what star UML would look like. When you're ready with star UML, let me know, because this is where we're going to start. Okay, let me know. So again, star UML, really simple. Have you guys used anything like this before? Downloading? Great, thank you, Nitin. Have you guys used anything like this before at all? Was there another UML diagram creator or anything else like that? That's good. So I think this is pretty cool when you use star UML. The great thing about star UML is when we make a diagram with star UML, what we can do is we can convert our diagram into code, which is pretty cool, right? So that's something that we're going to be using as well. Plant UML, sure, it's very similar. It's very similar, maybe a little different, but in terms of the way the user interface is, but the idea behind it is the same. All right, I'm going to close this down, and I just want to talk about IntelliJ for a second, because we talked about IntelliJ, and Guillermo, you asked, what version of our tool are we going to make? Well, let's make a brand new project in IntelliJ 1 second, and then we'll take a, I'm going to stop recording this one because I've done my kind of setup and installation. I talked about the course what it is, and I'll make a new video just on the in-class exercise. So I'll stop temporarily, like pause everything and then go back and continue. So what I'd like to do is make a new project. So let's make that. So again, when I make a new project, it's going to be a project with Java, right? So you can see I'm using Java and I'm using OpenJDK 15. That's the one I'm using right now. I could use, did you guys use OpenJDK 17 in your last course or 15? What did you guys use? 15, good, because that's what we're not gonna change that right now. I'm not saying that OpenJDK 17 isn't good. I know 17 is available, but it's fairly recent that they published it, so I'm not going to do that right now. So JDK 15 is perfectly fine, all right? So that's the one we want to use, all right? 15 or whether you use OpenJDK 15 or 15 is fine, all right? Notice in advanced settings, the module name, we want to keep it titled something. I recommend the name that looks something like this, where we type COMP1011, and then you want to have M for summer 2022, and then ICE1 is the name that I want to have. From a location perspective, we don't want to use that one. I want to use I typically want to use my desktop. You can put it wherever you want to put it, and that's perfectly fine. But typically what I'd like to do is I put up on the desktop, and on desktop, I'll make a brand new folder. So let's make a new folder for me, which I'll call Georgian, right? And in the Georgian folder, that's where it's going to go for you guys. There's going to be another folder in there for COMP1011. So you can see there's going to be another folder. And so inside Georgian, inside COMP1011, I'm going to put on, this is where the folder is going to go. But the name of the project is going to be COMP1011 M2022, which is the summer 2022. This is how I'm going to code everything anyway for you. The name of the course, the name of the semester, and the project that we're working on, which is ICE1. 16 is fine. It doesn't matter to me. 16 or 15 is okay. All right. And then I'm going to click create. All right, so let's do that together. And you're going to see that we're going to get some, this is the configuration that we're going to start with. Okay. So you can see that from a source code perspective, right, I have some XML modules. You can see that I have here XML for idea, right? But in my source code, right, I don't have any source files at all, right? I also don't have a configuration, right? So a configuration. So now what I'm going to ask you after we come back from the break, so I'm going to take 5 minutes, we're going to reset, and I'm going to put this up on, I'm going to stop recording on YouTube and make a brand new recording. I'm going to ask you a couple things. Remember, these are the things we're going to ask. You're going to review and refresh what it's going to look like. I'm going to make a main class, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you have 15 or higher, you're good to go, Giovanni. Anything 15 or higher. Okay? Please don't use 8, is what I'm saying. That would be bad. All right, so awesome. So that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to ask you when we come back is, how do I make a configuration, if you guys remember, right? And how do I add a brand new file in there for testing purposes? So how I'm going to do that? And we're going to do that together in the second half of today. For now, I've talked for about an hour and 10 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Let's come back at 7:20. And at 7:20, I'm going to come back and we're going to start our in-class exercise for tonight. Okay? And we'll continue with that until the end. So let's take 10 minutes. We'll go from 7:11 or about 9 minutes until 7:20, 8 minutes, and then we're good to go. All right, I'll stop recording this now. So I'm going to stop on YouTube. Okay.